The notification arrived at 7:14 a.m. on a Saturday, a time when the rest of the world was usually sleeping in, but my household had already been awake for nearly 2 hours. I was sitting at the small laminate kitchen table in our two-bedroom apartment, nursing a mug of coffee that had long since lost its steam. The morning light was just beginning to bleed through the blinds, casting long gray shadows across the linoleum floor. Across from me, the chair was empty, pushed in neatly. My 12-year-old son, Marcus, was already gone. He had left at 5:45 a.m. sharp, his canvas delivery bag slung over his shoulder, heading out into the chilly dawn to deliver the morning gazette to our sleeping neighbors. I picked up my phone. It was a message in the Reynolds family group chat. Jennifer, just finalizing SeaWorld headcount for spring break. Tom got us an amazing corporate group discount through his firm, so it's David's family, 4, Mom, 1, and us, 5. Total of 10 tickets, booking the hotel block today. The tradition continues. I read the text once, then I read it again. My thumb hovered over the screen. I did the math in my head, hoping I had misunderstood. David's family, Mom, Jennifer's family. 10 tickets. There were 12 of us in the immediate family. The 2 missing people were me and Marcus. My throat tightened, a familiar acidic burn rising in my chest. For the last 5 years, ever since Marcus was 7, the cousins' spring break had been a non-negotiable event. We had done Disneyland, the Grand Canyon, Legoland, and a cabin trip to Lake Tahoe. It was the one time a year Marcus got to truly bond with his cousins, away from the brief, chaotic interactions of Thanksgiving and Christmas. And now, with a single, breezy text message, we had been erased. I watched the chat for a few minutes, waiting for someone to ask the obvious question. What about Nicole and Marcus? Surely my brother David would say something. He was usually the pragmatic one. Or my mother, who claimed to love all her grandchildren equally. David. Awesome, Jen. Thanks for organizing. Mom. Sounds perfect. I can't wait to see the grandbabies all together. All together. The irony tasted like bile. I set the phone down on the table with a trembling hand. The silence in the apartment felt heavy, suffocating. I looked around at my home. It was clean, modest, and filled with love, but it was undeniably simple. The furniture was IKEA, assembled by my own hands. The art on the walls was my own graphic design work, printed on good stock but framed in budget glass. We lived carefully. I drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic. I clipped coupons. Marcus wore hand-me-downs from David's sons until they wore out, and he had taken the paper route 6 months ago to save up for a mountain bike he desperately wanted. My sister, Jennifer, lived a different life. Her husband, Tom, was a VP at a logistics firm. They lived in a sprawling colonial in the suburbs with a 3-car garage and a pool. To Jennifer, success was loud. It was visible. And because my life was quiet, she assumed it was failing. She assumed struggling. She assumed I lived paycheck to paycheck. She assumed that asking me to join a SeaWorld trip would be an embarrassment for me, a moment where I'd have to admit I couldn't afford the hotel, or the tickets, or the meals. So, in her mind, she was probably doing me a favor. A mercy exclusion. But Jennifer didn't know the truth. No one did. 2 years ago, the boutique design agency I had freelanced for was acquired by a massive tech conglomerate. I wasn't just a contractor. I had been one of the founding partners, holding a significant equity stake that I had negotiated years prior in exchange for a lower salary. When the buyout happened, I walked away with a settlement that could have bought Jennifer's house 3 times over. 7 figures. Post-tax. It sat in a high-yield trust and a diversified investment portfolio, untouched. I hadn't moved to a mansion. I hadn't bought a Porsche. I hadn't even upgraded my phone. I kept living my life exactly as I had before because I wanted Marcus to grow up understanding the value of $1. I wanted him to know grit before he knew luxury. I wanted him to be a person who earned his place in the world, not one who felt entitled to it. The front door unlocked with a soft click. Marcus stepped inside, bringing a gust of cold air with him. His cheeks were flushed pink from the wind, his hair tousled. He slipped the empty canvas bag off his shoulder and hung it on the hook by the door. "Morning, Mom," he said, rubbing his hands together to warm them. "Morning, baby," I said, forcing a smile that felt brittle on my face. "How was the route?" "Cold," he admitted, grabbing a banana from the fruit bowl. Mr. Henderson's dog barked at me again, but I made good time. I think I'm getting faster. He sat down opposite me, peeling the banana. He looked so much like his father in that moment. The same dark, serious eyes, the same quiet determination. My ex-husband had left when Marcus was 2, unable to handle the pressure of fatherhood, and we hadn't seen him since. It had been just us against the world for a decade. "Mom?" Marcus asked, sensing the shift in the air. He was perceptive, painfully so. "Everything okay?" I looked at the phone. I looked at my son, who woke up before the sun to earn $4 a day. "Yeah?" I said, my voice steadying. "Everything is fine. Just planning our spring break." I picked up the phone and typed a reply into the group chat. "Nicole, understand completely. Marcus and I will make our own plans. Have fun." I hit send. The response from Jennifer was immediate, as if she had been holding her breath, waiting for a fight. "Jennifer, I knew you'd get it, Nick. Our kids have been planning specific rides for months, and you know how different age groups are. Plus, the hotel is pretty pricey this year. Didn't want to put you in a tough spot." So. Put me in a tough spot. The condescension dripped from the screen. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a new tab on my browser. I went to the SeaWorld San Diego website. I bypassed the General Admission tab. I bypassed the Group Rates tab. I went straight to the link at the bottom of the page, written in elegant gold font. The ultimate VIP experience. I scrolled through the options. Private cabanas, behind-the-scenes tours, exclusive dining with the orca trainers, a private in-water dolphin encounter for 2, chauffeur service from the airport, 5-star accommodation at the resort's premier suite. The total for the week came to $24,500. It was an obscene amount of money. It was more than I used to make in a year. It was the kind of spending I usually scoffed at. But as I looked at Marcus, who was now opening his math textbook to get a head start on his homework, I felt a resolve harden in my chest like diamond. I entered my credit card information. Confirm purchase. The confirmation email pinged into my inbox. I wasn't doing this to show off. I wasn't doing this to be petty. Well, maybe 5% was petty. I was doing this because my son had spent his life watching his cousins get the best of everything while he worked for scraps. He never complained. He never asked for more. It was time he saw the other side of the coin. It was time he learned that while humility is a virtue, settling for less than you deserve is not. The week leading up to the trip was a study in contrasts. In the digital world, Jennifer was loud. Her Facebook and Instagram stories were a constant barrage of preparation. Videos of her kids, Tyler, Madison, and Brayden, trying on new swimsuits. Photos of their itinerary, color-coded and laminated. Posts about how blessed they were to have a father like Tom who worked so hard to give them the best life. Every post felt like a targeted missile. Look at what we have. Look at what you don't. In the real world, my apartment was quiet. I packed our bags in secret. I bought Marcus a new swimsuit, a high-quality GoPro camera for his underwater shots, and a few nice dinner outfits. I told him we were going to San Diego, but I kept the details vague. "We're going to SeaWorld too?" he asked on Tuesday evening, looking up from his dinner. "Are we meeting them there?" "We'll be there the same week. I said carefully. But we're doing our own thing, honey. Aunt Jennifer's schedule is tight. Marcus chewed his lip. Did they not want us to come? I stopped washing the dishes. I turned to him, drying my hands on a towel. I could have lied. I could have protected him from the sting of rejection. But Marcus was 12. He wasn't a baby, and he had a nose for the truth. Aunt Jennifer thinks we can't afford the trip she planned, I said. She made an assumption. Oh, Marcus said. He looked down at his plate. Because I deliver papers? Because people judge what they see, I told him, walking over and kissing the top of his head. But you know what? We're going to have an amazing time. Trust me. When Monday morning arrived, we took an Uber to the airport. Jennifer's family was driving down, a 6-hour trek in their minivan. We were flying. When we landed in San Diego, a man in a black suit was holding a sign that read, "The Reynolds Party." Marcus stopped in his tracks. Mom, is that for us? It sure is. The car was a black Cadillac Escalade, smelling of leather and expensive cologne. Marcus slid into the back seat, his eyes wide as he took in the panoramic sunroof and the chilled bottles of water in the console. Is this an Uber? He whispered. Something like that. I winked. We arrived at the Bayview Grand Resort. It wasn't the Holiday Inn Express where Jennifer's group block was booked. This was the kind of place where the lobby smelled of white tea and the floors were made of Italian marble. The concierge greeted us by name. Ms. Reynolds, Marcus, welcome. We have the oceanfront penthouse suite prepared for you. Marcus walked into the room and dropped his backpack. The view was panoramic, the ocean stretching out to the horizon, the sun glinting off the water like shattered glass. Mom, he breathed. How can we afford this? I sat down on the edge of the massive king-sized bed. Marcus, sit here for a second. He sat next to me, still looking around the room as if he expected security to burst in and throw us out. You know how I sold my shares in the design firm a couple of years ago? I asked. Yeah, you said we got some savings for college. I downplayed it, I admitted. We have more than savings for college, Marcus. We have enough. Enough for this. Enough for a house, if we wanted one. Enough that you never have to worry. He stared at me, processing. Then why do I have the paper route? Why do we drive the Civic? Because, I said, taking his hand. Look at your cousins. Tyler is 13. He got an iPhone 14 Pro for his birthday and cried because it wasn't the Pro Max. Madison throws a fit if her clothes aren't brand name. They have everything, Marcus, but they appreciate nothing. I squeezed his hand. I wanted you to build your own character before I handed you a cushion. I wanted you to know what it feels like to work for $4 so that when you have 400, or 4,000, you respect it. Marcus looked down at his hands that were calloused from handling newsprint and bike handlebars in the cold. He looked back up at me, and a slow smile spread across his face. Okay, he said. I get it. Good, I smiled. Now, get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be big. Tuesday morning. The sun was barely up over the bay. While Jennifer and the group discount clan were likely wrestling with breakfast buffets and sunscreen application in a crowded hotel room, a private car whisked us to the park's VIP entrance. There were no lines, no turnstiles, just a heavy iron gate that opened automatically as we approached. Waiting for us was a woman in a crisp SeaWorld polo and khaki shorts. She had a warm smile and a clipboard. Good morning, Nicole. And you must be Marcus, she beamed, extending a hand. I'm Patricia. I'm a senior marine biologist here, and I'll be your personal guide for the next 2 days. A biologist? Marcus asked, shaking her hand. Not a tour guide? For our VIP guests, we like to provide the real deal, Patricia said. I hear you're interested in marine life? Yes, ma'am, Marcus said politely. I've read a lot about the rehabilitation programs. Patricia's eyes lit up. Well then, we are going to get along just fine. Shall we? For the next 4 hours, we saw a side of SeaWorld that 99% of visitors never knew existed. We went behind the tanks. We saw the filtration systems, the veterinary clinic where they were treating a rescued sea turtle, and the food preparation kitchens. Marcus was in heaven. He asked question after question about salinity levels, about diet, about behavioral enrichment. Patricia answered every single one with genuine enthusiasm, treating him like a colleague rather than a child. He's sharp, Patricia whispered to me as Marcus examined a chart on dolphin vocalizations. Most kids just ask when they can see Shamu splash people. He cares about the how and the why. He's a good kid, I said, pride swelling in my chest. At noon, Patricia led us away from the concrete paths and into a secluded area lush with tropical plants. A wooden gate opened into a private cabana overlooking the main dolphin pool. It was shaded, cool, and quiet. There were plush sofas, a refrigerator stocked with drinks, and a personal attendant named Diego, who was already setting out a gourmet lunch of grilled salmon and fresh fruit. "This is our base of operations," Patricia said. "Eat up. At 2 p.m. we have your in-water encounter." I sat down and poured a glass of iced tea. Below us, through the gaps in the palm fronds, I could see the public walkways. They were packed, a sea of humanity, strollers, and sunburns. And then I saw them. It was like spotting a car crash in slow motion. Jennifer was leading the pack, looking frantic. She was holding a map in one hand and dragging her youngest, Brayden, with the other. Tom was trailing behind, staring at his phone, his face red and sweaty. My mother and David's family were caught in the crush, looking miserable. "Mom, look," Marcus said, pointing a fork toward the crowd. "Is that them?" "It is," I said. "They look hot," Marcus observed. "Should we wave?" he asked, half rising. "Let them be for now," I said gently. "They're on their trip. We're on ours." At 1:45 p.m., Patricia escorted us to the private changing rooms. We put on thick neoprene wetsuits. Marcus was vibrating with excitement. "Okay," Patricia said. "This isn't the petting pool where you just touch a fin. We're going into the training tank. You're going to be in the water with Splash and Coral. They are two of our most intelligent bottlenose dolphins." We waded into the waist-deep water. It was cool and salty. Immediately, a sleek gray shape broke the surface next to Marcus, chattering loudly. "That's Splash," Patricia said. "Hold out your hand flat." Marcus did. Splash placed his rostrum, his beak, right onto Marcus's palm. My son's face was pure, unadulterated joy. For the next hour, it was magic. Marcus learned hand signals. He asked Splash to spin, to wave, to speak. The dolphin responded instantly, feeding off Marcus's calm, focused energy. The training tank was secluded, but it was visible from one of the main viewing decks above. I hadn't planned it. I swear I hadn't. But as we were practicing a dorsal toe, where the dolphin pulls you through the water, I saw movement on the rail. The Reynolds clan had stopped for a break. They were leaning against the railing, probably exhausted from standing in line for the manta ray ride. Jennifer was drinking a soda, looking bored. Then, she looked down. I saw the moment of recognition. Her soda bottle paused halfway to her mouth. She squinted. Then she grabbed Tom's arm. She pointed. I watched as 10 faces pressed against the glass railing. Confusion. Disbelief. And in Jennifer's case, shock. I was in the water, laughing as a dolphin splashed me. Marcus was hugging a 500-pound animal like it was a golden retriever. We were the only 2 civilians in the tank. Jennifer's mouth moved. I couldn't hear her, but I could read her lips perfectly. "How the hell? Ah, your family?" Patricia asked quietly, noticing my gaze. "The ones who left us out," I said. Patricia, bless her, didn't miss a beat. She blew her whistle. "Okay, Marcus. Let's show them the high jump. Signal Splash." Marcus raised his arm high. Splash dove deep, then rocketed out of the water in a breathtaking arc, soaring 15 feet into the air right in front of the viewing deck where my family stood. The splashdown soaked the glass, and probably misted Jennifer's sunglasses. We exited the water 30 minutes later. We were wrapped in thick, warm towels branded with the VIP logo. As we walked toward the private changing area, we had to cross a small section of the public path. They were waiting. Jennifer stood there, arms crossed, flanked by Tom and my mother. Her kids were staring at Marcus like he was a celebrity. "Nicole?" Jennifer's voice was high, tight. "What? What are you doing here?" I stopped. I didn't smile. I didn't apologize. I just adjusted the towel around Marcus's shoulders. "We're enjoying our vacation, Jen. Same as you." "But..." She looked at the VIP lanyards around our necks. She looked at Patricia standing respectfully to the side. "You said you'd make your own plans. I thought you meant, I don't know, the beach or the zoo." "This is our plan," I said. Tom stepped forward, eyeing Patricia's badge. He worked in corporate. He knew what things cost. "This is the private encounter package," he said, his voice low. I looked at this. It's 20 grand. 24, actually. Patricia corrected helpfully, sensing the dynamic immediately. "With the premium add-ons." Jennifer looked at me, her face pale. $24,000? Nicole, how? You live in that apartment. You drive that old car. Marcus delivers papers, for God's sake. Her voice was rising, drawing stares from passers-by. "Is this debt? Did you take out a loan just to show me up?" "Mom, stop," Marcus said quietly. I put a hand on his chest. "It's okay, Marcus." I turned to my sister. I looked her dead in the eye. "Marcus delivers papers because I want him to know the value of work," I said, my voice steady and calm. "We live in that apartment because it's enough for us. I don't spend money to impress people, Jennifer. I spend it on experiences that matter." I took a step closer. "You assumed we were poor because we are quiet. You assumed we weren't good enough for your group discount because we don't flash labels. You didn't exclude us because of logistics. You excluded us because you were embarrassed by us." Jennifer opened her mouth, but no sound came out. My mother looked at her shoes. "I have the money, Jen," I said softly. "I've had it for years, since the buyout. I just chose not to live like you. And frankly, after seeing how you treat family, I'm glad I made that choice." Jennifer's kids were whining now. "Mom, why did Marcus get to swim with the dolphins? I want to swim with them," Tyler complained. "Because he was invited," Marcus said. It was the first time he had spoken directly to them. He wasn't being mean. He was just stating a fact. "We have to go," I said. "We have reserved seating for the orca presentation. Front row." I nodded to Tom, who looked like he wanted to disappear into a hole in the ground. "Enjoy the lines." We walked away. I didn't look back, but I heard Tom's voice, low and angry, drifting behind us. "I told you, Jen. I told you not to send that damn text." The rest of the trip was a blur of joy. We ate dinner at an underwater restaurant where sharks circled the glass walls. We fed sea lions. We learned about conservation. We ran into Jennifer's family 2 more times, once at the penguin exhibit, where they were stuck in a snaking queue while we were escorted through the side door, and once at a burger stand, where they were sweating in the sun while we sat on a shaded balcony. Each time the dynamic was different. The pity was gone from their eyes. It was replaced by confusion, envy, and, in my mother's case, shame. Marcus never gloated. He waved to his cousins. He smiled. He enjoyed his trip without needing to diminish theirs. On the flight home, Marcus fell asleep with his head on my shoulder, clutching the photo book Patricia had made for him. I turned on my phone. 43 unread messages. Most were from Jennifer. They started defensive. I didn't mean it like that. They moved to accusatory. You tricked us. And finally, they settled into something resembling regret. I'm sorry, I really am. I messed up. There was one from David. Saw the pics. Jen is losing her mind. Good for you, Nick. Next time, let's just do a BBQ. And one from my mother. We need to talk. I didn't know you were hurting. Or that you were successful. I put the phone away. I didn't reply to any of them. Not yet. We landed, took our luxury car home, and walked back into our modest apartment. It smelled of stale air and home. Mom? Marcus asked, hanging up his backpack. Yeah, bud. Can I do my route tomorrow? I smiled. It's Saturday. You just got back. I know, he said, but Mr. Henderson needs his paper, and I like earning it. Okay, I said, tears pricking my eyes. Set your alarm. A week later, I called Jennifer. It was a short conversation. She cried. She admitted that she had become obsessed with appearances, with keeping up with the other moms in her neighborhood. She admitted that seeing Marcus, so happy, so polite, so unimpressed by the money itself, had shaken her. I want to fix this, she said. It will take time, I told her. I don't care about the trips, Jen. I care about the respect. If you can't respect my life choices or my son, we can't do this. I know, she said. I promise. We aren't best friends. We probably never will be. The gap between our values is too wide. But the dynamic has shifted. The pity is gone. When we go to family dinners now, no one asks if I need to take leftovers home to save money. They ask Marcus about school. They ask me about my work. They see us. And Marcus? He still delivers the papers. He bought his mountain bike 3 months ago, paid for in cash, quarters and dollar bills he smoothed out on the counter. But he walks a little taller now. He knows that the world is big, and he has a place in it. He knows that money is a tool, not an identity. And he knows that sometimes the best view isn't from the VIP deck. It's from the quiet confidence of knowing exactly who you are.